Sometimes I feel crazy. I don't understand how Canada has gotten to this point where we have crimes and criminals running rampant. You have actual people that are committing hundreds of crimes every year. That's almost one single crime every single day, and they get taken away by the cops and they get put back onto the streets in the same communities. It doesn't make any sense. And then you have the liberals that are saying, you know what, the weather's a little bit janky. Let's go after the weather and the climate and increase taxes, with no actual plan as to how that money is going to fix the weather or fix the climate. It doesn't make any sense. And I feel, like I said, a little bit crazy sometimes. But, you know, rest assured, there's almost 100,000 people that are subscribed to this channel, House of Canada. And then there's also 360-some thousand people that are subscribed to my main channel, Mistersunshinebaby. So I feel a little bit less crazy when I'm reading through the comments and when the community is actually getting engaged. But when I just sit at home and I see what's happening, I'm like, am I crazy? Can money actually fix the weather? No, the answer is no. It doesn't make any sense. It's a tax scam. These people are corrupt. Welcome back to another video, everybody. Before we get into it, I want to encourage everyone to smash the like button and subscribe if you haven't yet already. Like I said, we're almost at 100,000 subscribers. We're not going to get there unless the viewers subscribe. And that's on you, baby. That's on you. There's over 70% of viewers of this channel that are not subscribed. So if you're already coming here anyways, you're a frequent flyer, you might as well hit that beautiful, beautiful button. And while you're at it, hit that little bell notification that shows up so you can actually be notified of videos, and especially the question period live streams, which will resume in about a week and a half. So now enough about that stuff. I'll shut up and we can sit back, relax, and enjoy this Pierre and Trudeau clip, this debate about just the nonsense happening here in Canada.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Minister back from his $80,000 vacation, which he got for free. He said, like most Canadians, friends welcomed him for that vacation. He took two, not one, but two private jets paid for by the taxpayer, burning 100 tons of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. He wants to tax the heat and the food of Canadians. Did he pay the full carbon tax on each of the 100 tons of emissions that he put into the atmosphere as part of his $80,000 vacation?
Wow.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, the Conservative leader has simply no plan to address climate change in this country, no plan to increase the resilience of our communities in the fight against climate change. Warming climate causes droughts. Droughts damage crops. Damaged crops increase the cost of groceries. And yet, the Conservative Party cannot even agree on whether or not climate change is real. Mr. Speaker, we will achieve our emissions reductions, all the while sending Canadians checks to help with the costs of rising prices. They're a real solution.
They're rising because of you, buddy.
Well, he says that greenhouse gas emissions are driving up grocery prices. He put 100 tons of those emissions in the atmosphere for his personal vacation. This is high tax, high flying, high carbon hypocrisy. Meanwhile, Canadians in Edmonton were facing minus 50-degree temperatures on which they were paying carbon taxes just to heat their homes and stay alive. Given that he gives himself a free vacation at other people's expense, will he at least allow Canadians to heat their homes without his tax?
Yeah. Prime Minister.
The Conservative leader likes to talk about the challenges Canadians are facing on the cost of living, but he refuses to take action and support them. He chose to delay the passage of Bill C-59, which is also hurting his own caucus.
That's right.
Does the member for Battleford's Lloydminster now suddenly oppose maternity leave for adoptive parents? Surely the member for Cumberland Colchester won't back down on his advocacy to remove the GST on therapy and counseling services. While the Conservative leader is muzzling his own caucus and putting himself first, we'll keep putting Canadians.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
I don't think that was as powerful as he thought it was.
This one is just too easy. He walked into it. He had to muzzle a member from Newfoundland who called for an end to his leadership, joining another senator who did the same. because they understand that their constituents are literally starving and unable to heat their homes because the Prime Minister is quadrupling the carbon tax, doubling housing costs, and giving the worst inflation in 40 years. Why won't he listen to, instead of intimidating, his member for Newfoundland and put his leadership up to a review for...
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, over the course of the fall, we've announced projects on housing that are going to create 500,000 new homes across this country over the year. We're working hand in hand with community leaders, with mayors. We're making sure that we're moving forward on the priorities that are facing Canadians. In terms of standing up for his caucus, the leader across the way will not even mention the fact that the person sitting 3 seats to his left dined with a far-right conservative German politician and wants to abolish the United Nations. Is abolishing the
He's still on that, eh?
position of the Conservative Party of Canada.
Oh, poor guy.
The honourable member.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Here are the facts. They brought in catch and release bail. They reversed part of it. But guess where catch and release remains in place even after their most recent bill? Car theft. Whoa. So car thieves can still get catch and release same day bail because of this Prime Minister's amendment to the federal criminal code. Ports are federal, he mismanaged them. The RCMP is federal, he mismanaged that. The criminal code is federal, he brought in catch and release. Won't he own up to his failures, reverse these decisions so we can keep our cars?
Let's keep our cars.
Attorney General for Canada.
Mr. Speaker, yesterday when the Minister of Public Safety and I were with the Premier of Ontario, what we announced was $121 million of funding to help with attacking crime in places like Ontario. What that will do will help to stop this flow of what we're seeing in terms of auto theft. The other thing we heard from the Premier and what we've heard from the law enforcement officials who were there is that if you want to tackle this, you got to tackle organized crime. Interestingly, the Leader of the Opposition is directing his caucus to vote against anti-money laundering initiatives that are contained in the fall economic statement that would address exactly that.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister has accomplished something that only he could do. Our central bank, which can create cash, is actually losing money. Now, how did this happen? He forced the central bank to create $600 billion of cash to fund his overspending over the last 3 years. To pay for it, the bank makes deposits into the accounts of large financial institutions. Interest rates on those deposits, of course, have gone through the roof, meaning that taxpayers are now forced to bail out those losses. Will he admit that his incompetence now forces Canadians to pay twice, once for the inflation the money printing caused, and twice to bail out the bank, which is failing?
The Honourable President of the Treasury Board.
Mr. Speaker, I'm not sure if the Leader of the Opposition is aware, but Canada has the lowest debt-to-GDP ratio and the lowest deficit in the G7. And what we do on this side of the House is maintain prudent fiscal responsibility while investing in Canadians, especially vulnerable Canadians. Let's look at the Canada Child Benefit. Let's look at $10 a day childcare. Let's look at the Canada Dental Benefit, Mr. Speaker. On this side of the House, we actually have compassion for Canada.
I'd like to
Things are getting pretty heated here, fellas.
keep your comments to yourselves until it is your turn to speak. The honourable member.
Lots of meetings, lots of photo ops, lots of spending, lots of car theft. Years, this Prime Minister is not worth the car theft crime, which is up 300% in Toronto and 100% in Montreal. This is a federal problem. It's his mismanagement of federal ports that allows our cars to be stolen and sent abroad. His quick release of criminals on catch and release who steal our cars is a federal matter, and his mismanagement of our federal police force, which is responsible for organized crime. Will he reverse his failures so we can stop the car theft?
The Honourable Minister for Public Security.
Again, Mr. Speaker, the Leader of the Opposition forgets one important thing that this government did in collaboration with the provinces from coast to coast. We strengthened bail conditions to ensure that precisely the circumstance that my honourable friend continues to repeat inaccurately is not the case. And I was very pleased that Premier Ford thanked our government at the event yesterday for working with them constructively to put these auto thieves behind bars and do everything we can to bring an end to this unacceptable practice.